Om Aganatunandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksuramilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Pandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Vrajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakans Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Trivyasra Kripa Sinubhyevacha Patiranam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Every morning here in Slovenia we hear the Shikshastika prayers after Mangalarti. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorifies the holy name, that it's an ocean of bliss. But I don't always feel like I'm in an ocean of bliss when I'm chanting my japa every day. What to speak of its the life of all transcendental knowledge. The only knowledge I have is trying to sit up straight so I don't fall asleep when I'm chanting. Still, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, as an example to us, he laments that Krishna is so kind, he's given us this very, very simple process. But somehow or another he says that, although I realize and appreciate it, but I wonder why I don't have any taste. It's probably because I commit offenses while chanting the holy name. Then he starts with Trinadapi Sunichena. One should become humble. So these words are not always so clear what humility means, because unless we experience real humility, it's just another word in our vocabulary. And it may mean different things to different people. But basically speaking, to realize Krishna can actually make us humble. But of course, in modern society, humility is looked at as a very undesirable quality. That if one is humble, then one will other people will treat you like a blade of grass in the street and trample on you. So most people are not getting an education at a university or going online or inquiring from their friends. Please, tell me how I can become humble. Nor can we just artificially become humble, because humility has to be realized. But humility begins with following the instructions of Krishna, coming down in succession. That's where humility begins. At least trying to act as a servant of the servant of the servant. And if we do that, then what will happen? Krishna will bless us with all knowledge, because we're so humble and sincere. No, the next thing is Trinadapi Turari Vaiseshna. that's when the real problems come. We think, oh, I'm trying to be humble, I'm following the instructions of my spiritual master, and now all the difficulties are coming. I didn't even ask for them. Queen Kunti had asked for them. But they're coming, even I don't want them, they're still coming anyhow. So what are they trying to do? What is all these difficulties? Because without difficulty, there's no way of actually developing good qualities. When everything's going nice, we're nice. If people serve us and appreciate us, and we think, yes, they're also very nice. And when people criticize us, when they neglect us, when they actively do things seemingly to minimize us or to take us, to take things away from us, then suddenly how tolerant we are is tested. And therefore it's an opportunity to become tolerant. And we should also understand that, generally speaking, Krishna will not give us a test which is too hard. Generally, Krishna is very intelligent. We follow the orders of our acharyas coming into simple succession, our spiritual master who's relating that information. We study Prabhupada's books to get a clear understanding, the background of perfect knowledge, perfect example of how to follow the instructions of Krishna for ourselves in these particular circumstances. And then Krishna sees, oh, they're a little sincere, they get a little realization. And then that's when everything starts to become interesting. Srila Prabhupada once wrote to me, he said that, at least, actually, this is 1976, I think. So by that time, Prabhupada's secretaries were actually writing the letters, but more or less Prabhupada gave the essence of the letter. And two things he told me to do. One of them was to go around the world and spread Krishna consciousness. And the second thing he said in the letter is, make the goal of your life to go back to Godhead without any further delay. So that's just, of course, most of us are not going to go around the world, especially nowadays, to spread Krishna consciousness. Just to buy one airplane ticket would probably take up most of our savings. If you can find an airplane nowadays, but to speak one that's safe. In any case, but that's what we should do, is make the goal of our life to go back to Godhead without any further delay. So therefore, Krishna will send so many different opportunities for us to become tolerant. But why is he doing that? Is that Krishna doesn't like us? Or Krishna enjoys sending us problems? He's looking around the universe and he sees there's so many problems, why don't I send a few to him or to her? No, he's doing it so we can come to the platform of Amanina Madadena Kirtini Eksadare. That we can learn how to appreciate people who don't appreciate us. We can learn how to be tolerant of others who are intolerant of us. Does that mean we become masochistic? Please, you hit me on this cheek, I have another one, try it out harder. No, it's so that we can understand reality. The reality is that nothing is happening by accident. It's all under Krishna's arrangements. And Krishna's arrangements are such, when there is trouble, it's because that trouble will help us appreciate Krishna, appreciate the fact that Krishna is sending, everyone is Krishna's servant eternally. No one can do anything unless Krishna desires it. So therefore we should see Krishna is presenting something to us at every moment. And now we have an opportunity to find out what Krishna wants us to do. And generally what Krishna doesn't want us to do is to criticize, to become disturbed, become angry. Krishna, why are you doing this to me? My life is so nicely evolving in Krishna consciousness before you interfered with it. No, actually, Krishna sends these things just so that we can concentrate our minds more upon him. I mean, that's what Queen Kunti said. Compared to Queen Kunti, our lives are so mild. I mean, could you imagine the cook in the temple wanted to poison you? How would you feel? They bake you a cake made out of poison. You become a little paranoid. And then someone had bought you a house and it was made out of a flammable material. As soon as you were in the house, they set it on fire. Thanks a lot. And then you run out of the house and into a forest, and the first person you meet wants to eat you. So it was quite an interesting life they had. And as we know, Queen Kunti, because she was actually a pure devotee, she was actually absorbed in Krishna consciousness, she didn't mind, because she wanted these calamities again and again, so that she could remember Krishna again and again. Because there's no end to the advancement in Krishna consciousness. So we're very fortunate. We've been born in Kali Yuga, where there's a little up sometimes. We think we're going up. We think my life is peaceful. We have 20 minutes out of our weekend vacation where we feel everything's all right. And then it's over and we're back. But that's good. If it helps us remember Krishna more, take shelter of Prabhupada's instructions, try to see that everyone is Krishna's eternal servant, that our enemies are also Krishna's servants, our seemingly enemies, although they're actually acting as our friend, because our friends will never, generally, those we consider our friends will never trouble us as much as our enemies. Unless we were troubled and we had to think about Krishna in our difficulty, then we wouldn't learn how to think about him at the time of death. Now, all of us were supposed to carry on the disciple succession. As Prabhupada once wrote to me, he said that I have just received your contribution, more or less, that we're all, thank you very much for this contribution of love. Ishovras. Robotian? Okay. So we have to see our leaders, as it says, we have to tolerate. If we don't tolerate, we won't appreciate their good qualities. And we'll start seeing their bad qualities. So that's not very healthy for our spiritual lives. Not that we shouldn't see reality, but we shouldn't emphasize reality. As Prabhupada once said, as an example, which may be not politically correct to repeat it, he said that, yes, it might be true in the spiritual sense that sometimes women are less intelligent, but you shouldn't dwell on it. It's not the emphasis of our philosophy. So the same way, in this material world, we cannot expect that when you're in the hospital, everyone's going to be perfectly healthy. Generally, people don't go to the hospital to improve, to become. People who go to the hospital, generally they go there because they have some problem, physical problem. So this is our spiritual hospital. Prabhupada left. He tried to train up his disciples to the best he could. He didn't have very much time, although he was as powerful as Krishna, but the shield against Krishna consciousness is also quite powerful for those who've been trained up by the material energy. And therefore the leadership took over and they didn't know quite how to handle the situation for different reasons. And we find ourselves in a position where sometimes this kind of, in some places, seems to be going quite smoothly for some time, and then there's this few bumps on the road. Or maybe there's a pothole or something. Therefore, we have to learn tolerance and try to see through the philosophy of Krishna consciousness to the best we can. But we should remember that it's not so difficult, our philosophy. There may be a lot of classes given, a lot of philosophy, so many books, but to be humble, realize that my shelter, at least, is to follow the instructions in disciple succession. And part of that is to have a daily program every day. Prabhupada he established the daily program when the devotees became a little civilized who joined. When they could rise up. When we used to get up, when I first joined, we got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. We didn't have Mangalarti because we didn't know what it was. We did read from Srimad Bhagavatam. We chanted japa, but 5 o'clock was considered quite early to get up. We didn't have many of the things we have now. We didn't have books. We didn't even have a Bhagavad Gita. We had the Srimad Bhagavatam, which was written in Prabhupada's language, which was sometimes hard for people to understand. In any case, now Prabhupada did establish the program. Mangalarti, chanting, japa, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, worshiping the deities. So especially those who are initiated or aspiring to become initiated, they should practice that program every day. It didn't go out of fashion. It's not that, there are so many problems in the movement and so many devotees left, and, now we're all congregational members, temple so far, my japa beads are so far, etc. No, we should have a daily program every day. Krishna is everywhere. He's even in our house. And spiritual life means spiritual nourishment for the soul. Therefore, if we, just like most of us take prasadam every day, Is there anyone here who only takes prasadam once a week? Or maybe only once a month? Or what to speak, every Janmashtami we take prasadam, if it's not served too late. Most of us take prasadam at least once a day. So in the same way, we should take spiritual prasad every day. So we should have a regular program. It doesn't mean we're going to spend 2 hours in our house and miss our work, or we don't take care of our child anymore because it interferes with she's 6 months old and she's going to interfere with my spiritual program, so I guess she's going to have to learn tolerance. No, we have to do our duties, but we shouldn't forget our most important duty also. Get up as early as we can, chant as much as we can, hear about Krishna as much as we can, offer our food to the deity. This is what's called knowledge, spiritual knowledge. And this is what we're supposed to be telling others to do also. Then, by doing this, we're following the orders of our spiritual master. Everyone wants some personal, it'd be nice if we get personal instructions. When I first joined, we didn't have even tape recorders. We only had a telephone to find out what Prabhupada said. But no one used the telephone because it cost too much and we didn't have any money. So the telephone was more or less, like a paraphernalia. But Rupanuga used the telephone, Rupanuga, my temple president, because he paid the bills anyhow. So he'd call up Brahmananda Prabhu or others who were traveling with Srila Prabhupada and ask Brahmananda or some other devotee, what did Prabhupada say? What is he lecturing on? And Prabhupada said, he's lecturing on that we're not this body. And the next time he'd ask, what is he lecturing upon? He's lecturing that we're not this body. And then in 1969, when I got second initiation, I think it was in April of 1969 or something, then I went to New Vrindavan for a week. And they just had started the project there. And I heard Prabhupada speaking on, Prabhupada had come to Buffalo and talked about we're not this body. But when I went to New Vrindavan, it was an opportunity to experience that I wasn't this body. So Prabhupada was lecturing every day on the same thing, we're not this body. And we'd go for our bath in the morning. It was dark. We'd go down this hill, and we'd go into this water where the rain had collected, take our bath, and go up the hill again, which was all muddy. So every time we got up the hill, we were twice as dirty as when we went down. And after a week in New Vrindavan, then one day I remember Prabhupada was saying that we're not this body in a lecture. I said, wow, that's fantastic philosophy. I wish I would have heard that before. So we shouldn't think that there's something we're going to learn that's new. It's very simple. We have to follow the program, get some spiritual strength. And then when the tests come, then we'll be able to tolerate. We'll be able to see the tests for what they are and not get disturbed so much by them. We can't think, well, I'm such a learned scholar, and now something is happening to me I don't like. It's coming through in my mind, and I'm actually feeling disturbed. Something wrong with the process. No, Krishna is training us until we finally surrender. The thoughts will come again and again and again, and we say, all right, forget it. I don't accept them anymore. It's too much. So we'll learn a little tolerance, but tolerance is not enough. We also have to learn some appreciation. If we don't learn, we can learn tolerance, but if we don't learn appreciation, then the tests will come again. To make us humble, and also to learn to develop our real humility, through appreciation of what the devotee is doing. That even the things that don't seem so pleasant to us, they're actually very valuable in our lives. They actually help us bring us back closer to Krishna. And all of us here, all living entities, whether we can understand it or not, they all have an eternal relation with Krishna. The whole material universe is simply a school to help us revive our relation with Krishna. That's all it is. We're fortunate because we have the human form of life, we can get the graduate course. We can actually graduate from the school. So in the meantime, take the orders of the spiritual master in disciple succession, take Prabhupada's books. Srila Prabhupada said if you get up in the morning and do a Mangal Arati, whatever time you can get up, then you're serving the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami. So Srila Prabhupada is the Acharya, President Acharya, founder Acharya of our society. His instructions are serving our entire disciple succession. And those who are repeating it, including yourselves, we're also serving the entire disciple succession. We're all servants of Krishna, working consecutive disciple succession. So try to repeat the message of Krishna, try to follow it, try to learn tolerance, especially respect devotees within the mind, try to cooperate with them for performing devotional service, even if it's only your husband there. That's all right. He's also a devotee, or your wife, whatever. Try to cooperate with them. And try to learn appreciation. Try to see the good qualities in the devotees. And when you see the bad qualities, it's not that they're not there, but still respect them within our minds for their good qualities. Then the result is we'll become liberated. And in the liberated state, we actually get a taste of the chanting of the holy name, a little bit of a taste. And we want to chant more and more. Chanting japa is not a big problem. You know, where I promised I'd chant 16 rounds, I got my initiated beads, and now I'm in Brahman or something. I'm liberated. Now my life is successful. I'm going back to Godhead no matter what I do, because my spiritual master promised to take me back to Godhead, or at least Prabhupada did if I got initiated. But this chanting is a real problem. 16 rounds, oh my God, how long am I going to be tortured? I mean, I had that experience too. So I remember going on a book distribution when I first began. We went out 8 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week. And I was thinking, I'm going to spend the rest of my life in a parking lot trying to stop ladies with grocery bags, trying to sell them back to Godhead, in a dhoti, trying to avoid the security here. Because we only went out in dhotis. When we joined the movement, we had to hand in all our karmi clothes. So we had no karmi clothes. We didn't have any shoes. So when we went on book distribution first, we just went out in dhotis and tilak and shaven head. But there was security at these places who were distributing it. So when the security came, they didn't have the sophisticated, cameras. The security would come by with a cart, driving around a cart looking for people. So then we had to hide behind a post, so the security wouldn't see us, behind a column. And I thought, I'm going to spend the rest of my life here, trying to hit the ladies, because the ladies were the ones who were shopping. And then, it evolved, and I was, I always loved making Lakshmi, getting Lakshmi from people. So that was always a motivation. But dealing with people it was always blissful dealing with people, but at the beginning of this book distribution, it was not always so pleasant. Not because of them, mostly because of my own mind. So after evolving, after like 30, I think it was 30 or 40 years, 35 years of doing it every day, practically, even when I was a temple president, then one day I actually liked it. It was actually fun going out. not just to get people's Lakshmi and play around with their minds, get them to surrender to me, but also, I actually understood that this is Krishna's mission. So it's the same thing with japa. We have this uncontrolled minds, which Prahlad Maharaj said is our greatest enemy. So we have to chant it in such a way, we should know what we're chanting it for. We should know that along with japa, we should do some reading, some kirtan, some deity worship, some preaching if we can. And then, learn tolerance. Tolerate our minds, and especially tolerate other people's minds. Then try to see the good qualities in others, how they're engaged in devotional service, or even good qualities that we find in other people. Then we'll get a little taste for japa. And then the other parts of our advancement can go on. We can develop a little detachment from wealth, a little detachment from followers, a little detachment from sense gratification, women or men, a little detachment from liberation from our problems. We think liberation, I don't want to merge in Brahman. I never said that. No, we just want to get out of our problems, that's all. So that's Brahman. The closest to Brahman that we get to in conditioned life is when we go to sleep. All our problems are forgotten. So we wake up, how was you sleep? Oh, I slept very well, I didn't remember anything. I feel great. So that will come. These things will come if we take the process, that's all. We don't have to add anything to it. We don't have to hear about anything beyond just that simple thing. Try to follow the instructions in a proper way, in a humble way, that I'm a servant of my spiritual master, coming to civil succession. Try to learn tolerance of our own minds, of other people's minds, of the whole situation in Kali Yuga, and go on chanting, go on serving, and then try to see the good qualities, how Kali Yuga is helping living entities by torturing them, so they have to surrender to Krishna. They have no alternative. And anyone with a particle of sincerity will appreciate with Krishna consciousness if they get good association. And then the path for self-realization will become much clearer and encouraging. So thank you for taking part in the path. Someone may be sitting up here now, you may be sitting up here in the future. But we're all just, to the qualification, sitting here, we have to learn how to just understand the simple process that Krishna and his disciple succession has given us, how to actually apply it, and how to learn how to see it, and then act according to it. Acting according to it will become simpler if we follow the process. Krishna will help. He's in our heart. He gives us realizations that make everything simpler. And it's by that realizations, and all these things happen. We become humbler, we become more tolerant, we become more appreciative, and it's not the end. We still have a few things to learn, but once we get up to that stage, then these other things there's an art and a vritti, there's attraction for all these temporary things will gradually diminish. And then we'll, ainandana tunanjakun kinkaram, then we'll actually have shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, and spontaneous devotional service will begin. So thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I'd just like to thank all my disciples and other devotees who have joined. Just as a final thing. Prabhupada said that in Vrindavan, lecture is 1972, he was asked about the spiritual master, how he sees things. So he said that the spiritual master understands that whatever he can remember is by the grace of Krishna, and that Krishna is helping him remembering the instructions of his spiritual master. That's what he's desiring. And when he gives instructions to others, he understands it's not his instructions, it's actually the instructions of his spiritual master coming into civil succession from Krishna. So when he sees his followers or his disciples following those instructions, then he sees them serving Krishna through the disciple succession, and he learns from them how to become a better servant of his spiritual master. Thank you.